5 humans sat on a steel beam, 80 stories up, eating lunch, feet dangling over the void. Vex Core forgot to breathe.
Commander Zinara, you have to see this. There are humans on a beam, eating.
12 hours earlier, the mission had begun with nothing more alarming than a briefing. The Velaran Urban Engineering Bureau had dispatched a surveillance drone to study Earth's high-rise construction techniques.
Vex Core, remember, this is a routine observation. Keep the drone untethered and document all construction activity. We anticipate robotic assembly.
The drone detached from the mothership and fell through the atmosphere, toward the island of Manhattan. It emerged from the cloud layer to reveal a skyline of glass and steel, the Hudson River glittering in the morning sun. The target was a new luxury tower in Hudson Yards, 82 stories of unfinished skeleton. The Velaran expected to see machines, cranes, robotic arms, autonomous welders, placing beams with precise, automated grace as any advanced civilization would. Instead, the drone camera captured a 6-man crew of Earth workers arriving at the site in faded jeans and hard hats, hoisting tool belts and safety harnesses. The drone operator, Vex Core, zoomed in on the crew, expecting robotic exoskeletons or at least heavy automation. He found bare hands and leather tool belts.
Commander, are you seeing this? No robots. They're going up with just muscle and steel.
Continue observation. Document their safety protocols. Biologicals at this altitude must have advanced fail-safes.
The crew rode a construction elevator as far as it went, then climbed the temporary stairs bolted to the steel skeleton, harnesses clipped to safety cables at every floor. At 80 floors, Joseph stepped onto a 12-inch wide beam, his tether sliding along a cable above. He moved without looking down.
Mike, hand me that spud wrench, and watch your step. I ain't filling out paperwork today.
The drone hovered silently, capturing every detail, the casual hand signals, the way each worker trusted the others with their lives.
They're laughing. At this height, with nothing but a thin line and a steel rail, they are laughing.
Vex Core, note the harness connections. They appear voluntary, no visible coercion. This may be a cultural practice we don't understand.
The morning wore on, and the sun climbed higher. The Velaran team watched, their unease growing with every hour that passed without incident. Joseph tightened a bolt, while Mike aligned the next beam. Their movements were fluid, almost choreographed, as if the 80-story drop below didn't exist.
Mikey, you lock that side any slower, and the building will be finished before we are.
Relax, Joey. We ain't paid by the hour. We're paid by the nerve, and mine's holding up just fine.
Joseph reached for a loose bolt near the beam's edge, leaning out over the void. His harness cable went taut, then slack for a heartbeat as he overextended.
He's falling. No, the line caught. By the void. They don't even flinch.
See? Harness works. Told you I didn't want to do paperwork.
Mike just shook his head and went back to work. None of them even glanced at the drop. In the command center, Vex Core's breathing grew shallow.
That wasn't an error. They treat a near-fatal fall like a stubbed toe. What are these beings made of?
The drone's clock rolled past 11:30. The crew continued, unfazed, as if the sky were solid ground. At exactly noon, Joseph cupped his hands and shouted down the length of the steel beam.
Lunch. Drop 'em, boys. I ain't eating alone.
Mike unclipped his harness with a flick of his thumb. The others followed, carabiners clicking open one after another, and then they were free.
Commander Zinara, they've removed all safety restraints. The humans are voluntarily exposing themselves to a fatal drop.
Keep recording. Do not take control of the drone. I want a psychoanalysis on every individual.
The men walked the beam without tethers, arms out for balance, gathering around Joseph, who was already lowering himself into a seat. One by one, they took seats beside him, legs swinging over the edge, as if 80 stories of air were a porch swing. Joseph opened his battered lunchbox and pulled out a sandwich wrapped in wax paper. the same size as a brick.
They're sitting, just sitting. No harnesses, no fear. I can't process this.
The drone camera remained steady, but the command center's silence was absolute. Every Veluran eye locked on the impossible feed. Joseph peeled back the wax paper and bit into the sandwich, chewing slow, eyes half closed against the sun.
Joey, that your wife's meatloaf smells like she's trying to send you to an early grave, just not the fallen kind.
Commander, they're engaging in social banter. Their heart rates are barely elevated. This is deliberate.
Monitor every biometric you can extract from that feed. I want to know if this is conditioning, genetic modification, or something worse.
The drone zoomed in on the men's boots, swinging gently above the void, a rhythm as steady as a metronome.
Mike, if you spend half as much time working as you do running your mouth, this tower'd be topped out by Tuesday.
Yeah, just don't choke on that brick. I ain't giving you mouth to mouth up here.
In the command center, a junior technician covered his eyes. Another whispered a prayer to a Veluran ancestor.
They're mocking gravity. They're mocking death itself. I can't look away.
The lunch stretched into its third minute, and not a single human had glanced at the drop. The sandwich in Joseph's hand was more important than the abyss.
Hey, Joey, you see the Yankees last night. They're making the same mistakes your wife's meatloaf makes, falling apart.
At least my wife's meatloaf shows up. Your girlfriend stood you up twice last week. That's real consistency.
Commander, their biometrics are stable. Stress hormones lower than a Veluran in deep meditation. This defies all survival logic.
Sweep full biometric data. Cross-reference with every species' stress profile in the archive. Find me an explanation, or at least a precedent.
Joseph passed a thermos of coffee down the line. Cups were poured without setting anything down. The dark liquid balanced against the sky.
They're passing hot liquids. 80 stories up. No fear, no hesitation. I can feel my own stomach trying to invert.
Hold drone position. Do not let the feed degrade. The Bureau will want this entire sequence for the record.
You know what we should do. Renegotiate the contract. Hazard pay for putting up with your ugly mug.
The only hazard here is your gas, Mike. What'd you eat last night? A tire.
On Vex Core's console, a yellow warning pulsed, elevated cardiac strain. He ignored it, fingers locked around the control grips. Joseph pulled an extra apple from his lunchbox and, with a flick of his wrist, tossed it across the open air to a man 2 beams away.
He just threw food across nothing. It didn't even wobble.
The drone feed began a slow, rhythmic shake as Vex Core's hands started to tremble on the control grips.
Madness. This is pure, undiluted madness.
The camera jerked, skewing the view of the ironworkers until the horizon tilted sickeningly.
VexCore, stabilize the drone. You are the primary observer. Do not compromise the mission.
I can't feel my fingers. The world is spinning.
The drone wobbled, dipping toward the building, its stabilizers whining in protest against the erratic commands.
Take your hands off the controls if you are incapacitated, but do not let the drone drift.
Vex Core's hands locked tighter, knuckles white, as the feed sloshed left and right. His console screamed a red alert. The command center dissolved into overlapping theories. Someone shouted about coerced labor, another about death row prisoners.
Quiet. I want behavioral analysis. Are they restrained? Chemically altered? What are we missing?
The junior technician pulled up stress profiles. None matched a prisoner. The human's oxytocin levels implied bonding, not fear.
Genetic scan results. Now, are they engineered for this?
The scan returned baseline human. No splice, no adrenal override. Just ordinary Earth workers.
Then they choose this. Voluntarily. For building material, there is no rational framework.
Across the room, Vex Core's breathing turned ragged. The drone feed swung wildly across the beam. The sky, the abyss.
Can't. Control. The world is falling.
A medic pushed toward Vex's core, but Zanara raised a hand. Let him be. We need the recording. Her voice was ice. The drone feed sloshed sickeningly. Vex Core's eyes rolled back, his body swaying, not yet fallen, but barely tethered to consciousness. Mike rose on the beam, one hand reaching for the sky, the other steadying his balance as he stretched his back with a grunt.
My butt's going numb. Gotta stretch before I seize up, like a rusty hinge.
In the command center, Vex Core's vision shrank to a pinpoint. The casual human movement was the final blow to his overloaded senses.
He stood up, on the edge of nothing, without a line, without a thought. The nerve.
Vex Core's body went rigid, then pitched forward. His head struck the console, hands still gripping the controls. As he collapsed, the drone responded instantly, its camera tilting violently, the image tumbling end over end toward the glass facade of a neighboring skyscraper. The screen flashed with impact, a shower of shattered glass and twisted metal. Then the feed cut to static.
Medical team to Vex Core now and retrieve that drone log. Every frame is critical.
Alarms blared. The crew scrambled. The recorded footage of 5 men eating sandwiches, 80 stories up, was now the only testimony of what they had witnessed, on the beam, completely unaware of the chaos they had caused. Joseph took another bite of his sandwich and watched a cloud drift by. In the medical bay, Vex Core's eyes fluttered open to the blur of Commander Zinara standing over him.
The humans, did they fall? Are they alive?
Zinara didn't answer. She had already moved to the central display, replaying the drone footage one agonizing frame at a time.
Zoom on subject, Joseph. I want his facial micro-expressions during the apple toss.
The screen froze on the high-resolution still of Joseph smiling, one hand holding a sandwich, the other waving at a coworker, legs swinging.
No coercion, no fear. They were enjoying themselves.
She opened a secure channel to the Velurin Compact Oversight Committee. The dispatch priority was set to maximum.
This is Commander Zinara, Urban Engineering Bureau. We have a Class A cultural anomaly, requesting immediate review.
The holographic emblem pulsed as the data transferred. Every frame of the lunch, every biometric reading, every word of panic from the command center streamed across the light years. Vex Core, propped on a medbed at the edge of the room, watched the upload stream. His hands still trembled. The data burst hit the Velurin Compact Council during a routine trade dispute. The holographic display shimmered, and the delegates fell silent. The footage played. 5 humans on a beam, eating, legs swinging over 80 stories of air. Not a single voice disturbed the playback.
Are these construction workers prisoners? No safety line, no restraint.
Another delegate countered, voice shaking. Their facial scans show amusement, not fear. No prisoner behaves this way.
Then they are insane. Rational beings do not taunt death for a sandwich.
The debate stretched on. Bioscans confirmed baseline human, no coercion, no genetic modification. The behavior was intentional. The chairperson ended it. We will inquire with Earth's Department of Labor. Draft the message. The formal inquiry read, "Are your construction workers prisoners? Are they being coerced?" A unanimous vote transmitted it immediately. The transmission encoded the footage, the biometrics, the transcript of Vex Core's collapse, and hurtled it toward the blue planet. Commander, Zinara watched the confirmation. She zoomed in on Joseph's half-eaten sandwich, waiting for an answer that might never come. The Velurin transmission was routed to the Department of Labor through a bewildered State Department analyst who had never handled alien mail before. Ellen, a senior compliance officer with reading glasses and a dry sense of humor, opened the file on her tablet.
Are your workers prisoners? That's a new one.
She pulled the historical file on Ironworkers Local 40, leaning back in her chair as the images loaded. 1932, Mohawk Cruise, the same casual smiles.
They've been doing this since 1902. The aliens are just now noticing.
She typed a draft, consulting union regulations and a well-worn OSHA manual. The reply was brutally concise. Subject: inquiry. Response: they are union ironworkers. They have been doing this since 1902. The Mohawk crews started it. They are paid well. They like the view.
Let the historians on their side try to untangle that one.
She CC'd the Ironworkers International and hit save. The reply would wait for final approval. But the story was already written. Outside her window, a crane rose over the DC skyline. Ironworkers balancing on a narrow beam 300 feet up, unseen. 3 days later, Ellen's reply pulsed through a high-gain satellite array, crossing the light years in a tight beam toward the Veleran observation ship. On the Veleran command deck, a soft chime announced the arrival. Commander Zinara opened the message without a word. The translated text read, "Union Ironworkers. Since 1902. Mohawk crews started it. Paid well. They like the view."
They like the view. That's the entire explanation.
Vex Core, still on a medbed, watched through the ship's internal feed. He mouthed the phrase silently, then let his head fall back. The command center fell silent. Analysts stared at their screens, searching for hidden meaning in the insufficient words.
Run cultural indices. Find the phrase, "they like the view" in any Earth historical context.
A junior analyst spoke hesitantly. "Commander, there is no equivalent. The idiom doesn't translate." The recording of Joseph's smile, the swinging boots, the half-eaten sandwich, played again in Zinara's mind. Explanation enough.
Log it. File the translation note. Idiom has no Veleran equivalent. This is not a matter of policy. It's something else.
The Veleran Compact's Xenolinguistics Division convened in a grim, windowless chamber. The Earth message hung before them, a handful of words that defied all analysis.
The phrase, "they like the view," has no precedent. Like implies a preference for lethal exposure. Our models reject it.
A junior scholar projected layers of Earth cultural data, art, poetry, photographs of workers sitting on beams that spanned decades. The note was coldly clinical. Earth English idiom, "they like the view," no Veleran equivalent, suggests aesthetic or existential fulfillment in perilous elevation. The final report was stamped with a green checkmark and filed in the Veleran Cultural Archives under Atypical Human Practices.
Case closed. No further action. But I want a standing note. Do not attempt to intervene in Earth construction unless directly requested.
Commander Zinara received the final order in her quarters, the file summary glowing above her desk. The image of Joseph's smile still lingered.
We will never truly understand them, and maybe that's safer for all of us.
Vex Core, now discharged, stared at his own reflection in a dark monitor. The phrase, "they like the view," still echoed in his mind. On Earth, the tower in Hudson Yards was topped out a month later. The Ironworkers Union recorded 0 casualties and threw a barbecue. Years later, a union newsletter sent a reporter to interview the crew from that Hudson Yards job. Joseph sat in the hall with coffee and an unlit cigar.
Aliens. Never saw any. You sure your sources ain't pulling your leg?
The reporter showed him a photo of the crew on the beam, scanned from an old Union yearbook. Joseph tapped it with his thumb.
That day, lunch on the beam, Mike was yapping about the Yankees. Same as any other Thursday.
He pointed at the tower in the background of the photo. "We built that, 0 injuries. Stands right there on 11th Avenue. Good building." The reporter turned the conversation to the next generation. Joseph leaned back, a flicker of pride crossing his face.
My boy Patrick's been asking about the trade. Seems interested. I ain't pushing, but if he wants it, the local will take him.
The interview ended there. Joseph shook the reporter's hand, then went to check the postings on the Union board. The tower in Hudson Yards caught the sunset, its glass walls reflecting the orange sky. The Ironworkers Union Hall hummed with the same energy it had for 100 years, and somewhere, A 19-year-old with his father's hands was hanging, his first harness on a hook, ready for the morning call. Patrick walked into the Union Hall at 19, hands steady, a folded application form in his pocket.
I am here to join. My father's Joseph. I want to earn my own name.
The business agent stamped his form, then pointed toward the training yard, where Joseph was already waiting.
You breathe. You trust the beam. You don't look at the drop. That's all there is.
Patrick nodded, clipped his harness, and walked out onto the 12-inch width, his face set with concentration. His first step was slow, but by the third he found the rhythm his father had talked about for years.
I can see the whole city from up here.
Yeah, and you'll eat lunch in it too. Just not yet.
He spent 6 months in the apprentice program, learning the knots, the signals, the weight of steel, and his father's name opened no shortcuts. The local didn't care whose son you were, only if you could carry the iron. 6 months later, Patrick stood before the union president and recited the oath. His card was stamped, Ironworkers Local 40.
You earned it. Now, let's see you carry the iron.
His first day as a journeyman was on a mid-rise in Brooklyn. Joseph signed on as his connector partner, watching from a beam nearby.
Don't look at the drop. Trust the steel. It's the same beam as the yard.
Halfway across, he paused, not from fear, but to feel the wind. Then he kept moving, and Joseph's shoulders relaxed.
Good. You didn't rush. Now come back. Lunch is in an hour.
Bet I get my sandwich up before you do, old man.
The foreman radioed the all clear. Patrick's name joined the rotation sheet on the union board, beneath a generation of others who'd done the same. That evening, father and son sat on the tailgate of Joseph's pickup, drinking coffee, watching the steel frame catch the sunset.
Tomorrow, you can take your lunch break on the beam if you want. No one makes you. That's the point.
The next day, at noon, Patrick stood on a beam 40 stories above Brooklyn, lunchbox in hand, no harness clipped.
Lunch. Boys, grab a spot.
3 other journeymen joined him, each finding a seat on the 12-inch steel, feet dangling into the sky. Patrick opened his lunchbox, his father's old metal one, passed down and pulled out a thick sandwich.
Dad was right. The view really is different from up here.
They ate in comfortable silence, broken only by the crunch of chips and the distant sound of a jackhammer. The sun cast their shadows on the building's skeleton, a modern echo of a photograph from 1932, 80 years apart. The same lunch, the same fearless trust, the same quiet defiance of gravity. Patrick took a bite, his legs swinging, and understood why his father never mentioned the aliens. This wasn't for them, and in that moment, the ironworker's legacy was not a memory. It was a living, breathing act, repeated with every new sandwich. Years later, a Velurin surveillance drone orbited high above Manhattan, its lens scanning the steel frames of a new skyscraper. It found a group of 5 humans sitting on a narrow beam 60 stories up, eating lunch, legs dangling. A young Velurin operator at the drone console watched the feed, one hand propping his chin. Log entry, Observation 47B. Human ironworkers eating on beam. No safety tethers. Behavior consistent with prior documentation. File as typical. The operator tapped the file icon, and the image of Joseph's crew from another decade appeared momentarily, then faded into the archive. The standing file note was no longer a cause for alarm, merely a cultural footnote read by sociology students on the Velurin homeworld. Acceptance had arrived, not understanding, but a weary bureaucratic peace with the incomprehensible. The drone banked away, its camera never lingering, and the humans never once looked up. The view from the beam remained unchanged, a privilege understood only by those whose feet dangled over the void. And somewhere in the Velurin Cultural Archive, a single line remained. They like the view. No equivalent. The Hudson Yards tower still stands, its glass face reflecting 1,000 sunsets, and inside, families eat dinner unaware of the history above them. On a beam 60 stories up, a new crew unwraps sandwiches, their legs swinging, their laughter carrying over the wind. A tiny drone, barely visible, hovers near the steel skeleton, its lens capturing the scene for a distant archive that will never truly comprehend. The ritual is the same. The trust is the same. The view, the impossible, staggering, beautiful view, is the same. The Ironworkers Local 40 maintains its membership, a living lineage of names that goes back to 1902, and before that, to the Mohawk crews who walked the steel first. And the aliens, if they still watch, have learned to accept what they cannot translate. Some humans will always choose the sky, not out of defiance, or madness, or coercion, but because the view, for those who can stand it, is worth the risk, and so the image endures, not as a relic, but as a living tradition, repeated every day at noon across the city. The Valyrian archive holds thousands of such images now. But the note remains unchanged. They like the view. No equivalent, and that, in the end, is the entire explanation, and it will never be enough, because some things require feet on the beam. Evening descended on Manhattan, the skyline shifting from gold to electric blue. On a newly topped-out high-rise, a night crew walked the beam in the fading light, finding their seats for dinner. They unwrapped sandwiches and thermoses as the lights of Brooklyn flickered on below them. A tiny Valyrian drone, no larger than a sparrow, glinted once in the last sunlight, then vanished into the dark. It captured the scene automatically, a routine recording filed away without comment or alarm. The men never looked up. They were deep in their own conversation, their own quiet, watching the city stir to life. Some things are simply human. They can be observed, measured, logged, but never truly translated. The view from the beam belongs to those who sit there, not to those who watch from orbit. It is not a statement or a protest. It is just lunch. It is just the view, and that, to the humans, is explanation enough. The camera holds on the view. Boots over the edge. The city 1,000 feet below. Clouds drifting past. There is no translation for this. No data file can hold what it feels like. The Valyrian wrote their note. No equivalent. And they were right, because the view is not a fact to be recorded. It is a condition to be survived, and it is only earned by those who climb the ladder and carry the iron and trust the beam. So the archives will keep growing, and the note will stay unchanged. The tower stands, the Union thrives, the iron continues to rise, and somewhere, a 19-year-old with his father's name is sitting down for lunch. He won't notice the drone. He won't need to. He likes the view, and that, to the universe, will always be untranslatable, and enough.